Hi everyone, this is Ravelyn M. Whistler, owner, designer, and creator of Handmade with Love. In this video, I would like to show you how to make this very beautiful sunflower made of cookie sheet. This sunflower is composed of lots of petals. So the first thing that you're going to do is get your cookie sheets and your templates. Gather all your supplies, paint, brushes, scissor, and your cookie sheet, and then take the sticker off of your cookie sheet and the plastic that's wrapped around it. Then flip it over. On the back, you are going to trace your templates. So there's 6 petals of different sizes. In each size, you will trace 12 petals each. You need 12 of those. And so here are the cookie sheets that I've already traced. You want to make sure that you use all the spaces as much as possible of your cookie sheet, and then you will cut them 2 sheets at a time. So you're only going to trace 6 of each petals because you will be cutting them 2 sheets at a time. You will use just your regular scissor in cutting. And then you will try to cut first in the corners, 4 corners of the cookie sheet, and on the sides. You want to try to save those pieces on the sides because sometimes you will be able to use them for the centers of your faux metal flowers. In fact, in this project, I will need 8 of those, and I will be using it as a center for my sunflower in this particular project. So now you're going to cut each section to where you traced your petals. It's easier this way rather than to fight with the whole sheet of cookie sheet. Remember, you will cut 12 petals of each size. You will have altogether 72 petals all in all. So here are the petals that I've cut. There's 12 of each petal sizes. You want to make sure that you will count your petals really good because these cookie sheets are really thin, and sometimes there's 2 petals stuck with each other and then you might lose a piece of petal, so you really want to make sure. Now this is I'm getting ready to make the center, so this piece of cookie sheet is those on the side of the cookie sheet. So I flatten them, and then I kind of cut them into just 1 inch width, and it's like 12 inches long. And then you want to cut little slits, not all the way to the end, but just like that. There you go. You're going to cut the whole thing, and you will cut like 8 of them. So there it is. There's my 8 strips. Now we're getting ready to roll the strips to make it into like the center of the flower. Yeah, I'm gonna be using a Gorilla glue stick and a hot glue gun to make the center of my sunflower. And this is my finger protector so that I don't burn my fingers when I try to use the glue gun using that the glue and the glue gun. You just roll it and roll it until all 8 strips will be used. This is a little bit tricky kind of center, so if you don't really want to use this kind of center, you have an easier choice, you know, to where you will just use your the 4-inch foam board and just wrap it with cookie sheet and then paint it with whatever color you want the center of your flower. So you just have to keep rolling and try to put some glue in there so it will stick. And like I said, this part is very challenging. Sometimes you get burned if you are not very careful. So if you don't have patience, you might, like I said, there's other options out there for the center of your flower. Just like what I've used with my other sunflowers, it was just a flat 4-inch foam board that I wrap with cookie sheet and then I painted it. Well, this one is a different center. I want to try this and see how it would look like. It's going to take a while to do this, but we'll see if we like this kind of center or if we will, next time we will just use the foam board wrapped with cookie sheet. Oops, I think I just burned myself right there. Just a teeny tiny bit. We are almost done. So this is like 8 strips of 1-inch wide and 12-inch long strips of cookie sheets. These are the ones that's on the side that supposed to be just scrap, but I decided to use it for this purpose. So I kind of saved some because I wanted to make a different center. All right, so we are done. So when you're done, you want to fluff it around. You want to try to make it a little bit wider. And there you go. That's how it would look like. See, you want to fluff it around. And this will be the center for your for the sunflower. Okay, now it's time to paint. So I am using this paint. This is a semi-gloss, an exterior paint. I got this from Menards. And so I just use brush to paint my petals. If you would like to use a spray paint, that would be another option. But I usually just brush the paint onto my petals because I feel like I waste too much paint if I will use the spray paint. So I am just putting my first coat of my yellow paint onto my cookie sheet petals. Remember, there's like 72 petals altogether that you will paint. Some petals might get lost or get stuck with other petals because these cookie sheets are just so thin that it can easily get stuck with each other and you will never know where they are. So here are the petals that I did the first coating. Now I want to paint the center. So in the middle I like to put yellow. And then on the sides I'm going to mix brown and red. So it's kind of a maroon, yellow and maroon. So this is new color that I've tried for this kind of project. So it's actually a Merlot and truffle color mixed together, and then yellow in the center. Now I am going to put another second coating on my petals because I could still see the cookie sheet, the shiny cookie sheet. So I want to put a second coating on my petals. And let it dry. So you want to paint all 72 petals with a second coating, but it's really just up to you. So now I've used this Merlot and truffle color. I mixed them together because I don't want to just use brown and I don't want to use just plain red, so I want to mix them together and they kind of turn into like a maroon one. And now we are painting the edges of all of the petals to make it look rustic. I like to do this because it emphasizes my petals. And so then I smear the paint all over to make it look rustic. So this is what I've always done to my petals to make it look rustic. First is you want to paint the edges first, brush it off with whatever paint you want to use, and then smear paint in the middle of your petals to make it look rustic, and there you go. So you will do this procedure to all of your petals. Remember, make sure your petals don't get stuck with each other because you don't want to end up losing some of them because they got stuck. Okay, so here are all the petals that I've already put paint in the edges and make it look rustic, and it's ready to be assembled. Here we go. We want to make sure we count our petals. We make sure we have 12 of each. So there's 6 petals there, and this is my base. I use a foam board and I put the twine first. I'll put the twine first. That's what I use when I want to hang this sunflower on the wall. This sunflower is purposely for indoor decorating. Okay, so I want to put glue on the other side of my petals, and I'm gonna put 4 petals right across from each other so I know I could do a better job in spacing my petals. Remember, the first layer of your petals, you really want to make sure that the spacing is really good and your petals are in equal distance from each other. So that is why I'm putting first 4 petals, and then in between those 2 petals, I'll put 2 petals each. So I tried my best to estimate the distance between those petals. Now I'm ready to put 2 petals in between these 4 petals. And I'm using my finger protector again so I don't burn myself with the glue. You want to push it down. You want to make sure that it's sticking to your foam board. Okay, so we're gonna keep working around putting our petals all around our foam board. As you can see, the other side of my petals, I didn't like glue it all the way down because I'm still putting two petals in between, see, and I want to make sure that I overlap the edges of those petals. So once I close that space there, then I'm gonna glue that side of the petals that popped out to close there we go. Now I'm gluing it, so now it's glued all the way down. So we have one more section to fill up with two petals. And we are almost done with our first layer. The first layer is very important that your spacing is very good because the last 5 layers on top are dependent with your first layer. So if your spacing is good in your first layer, then you should be good all the way to the end of your last layer. So you want to make sure when you put your top layer, you want to make sure that you put your petals in between or in the center of the two petals underneath it. Okay, and you also, the beginning of that, you want to make sure that the other side of your petal is not glued, because to meet later on when you are done, when you're going to close this layer, this second layer, you want to put your last petal under that first petal. So we're gonna keep working on all the way around. The procedure is still the same. You're just going to glue all these petals, and you want to make sure that it is in the center of the two bottom petals. Push it down really good. Keep doing. So this is our second layer. We will need 1, 2, 3, 4. I think still 4 more to go, and then we will be done with this layer. So it's gonna be a while yet, but I want to show you guys how I put all the petals so that you will really have a good idea when you will do your project. This is the last. So as you can see, I am going to glue that side of the petal that's popped out right there. I will push that down because that's where I close my second layer. So you want to make sure you push down all your petals. Now, okay, now we're gonna start on the third layer. Oops, I think I kind of messed up on that, so I'm gonna have to do another one. There. So now that one I put glue on all, on the whole side, so that's why it didn't work as my first petal. So the same thing, you're just gonna keep working on it. Put all your petals, 12 petals, on the third layer. And we'll see how it goes. So you want to make sure that your top petal is in the center of the two bottom petals. I think our sunflower is looking good. Now we are working on the third layer. So let's keep going. We are almost done. All right, we need to refill the glue stick. Okay, We are to the end of our third layer. Now we're gonna work on the fourth one. All right, so here we go. We are done with our project, and we put the center of our sunflower. So I hope you like it, and I kind of like turn the petals a little bit so it will look like it will pop out. It looks like a 3D sunflower.